By the way,
You'll be
Captain.
scanned as you enter
Sergeant
the city. Please keep moving. Okay.
Of course the United Colonies is paying close attention. Heaven forbid something escaped unnoticed. I do find that statue pleasing. I wonder if it matches the original vision of the artist, or if they changed the design as they worked on it. I am thankful these rides are quick. Do not like being in small and enclosed spaces. Did you need something?
I have a feeling today's going to be a great day. Don't you agree?
Are we at all surprised that they use these secrets?
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinian of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for? I haven't been to Londinian in many years. Why? Is there some way I could be of assistance? Were you able to recover what you were looking for? Good news, then. So, what exactly are you doing here? Plenty still to be done in defeating the Terrormorphs, no? Did you? Well, I don't know what you think you heard on this recording, but I sincerely hope you didn't come to the wrong conclusions. After all, given the Cabinet's current state of anxiety, they might misinterpret such a discovery to mean I could have been involved with the attacks. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us. Of course. Do I look like I'm in any position to do what you're describing? So I'd very much appreciate your agreement to not share what you found. We wouldn't want anyone else jumping to conclusions now, would we? You know, you're far more clever than I expected. You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terrormorph attacks on Tau Ceti, New Atlantis, my doing. Years of coordination between my associate and I, figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinian, learning to synthesize it. Use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing. You couldn't be more right. The attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's Terrormorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential. These were the final days of the colony war, Captain. The Freestar Collective had spies everywhere. I was concerned that if word got out, the Collective could swoop down, start breeding Lazarus plants, and overrun our worlds with waves of Terrormorphs. Just like what was happening on Londinian at that very moment. Sealing off the city to prevent mass death, it was the only option that made sense at the time. Simple to say now, but with the outbreak raging from a barely understood source, the moment demanded quick action. So I did what was required. I removed the dangerous variable from an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. So I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter, she becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You. There are no heroes without a villain. I simply arranged the opportunity for us to overcome one and become the other. And we all benefited. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home in the well someday. You're being honored only because I arranged the situations where it could happen. Be grateful. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terrormorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm simply requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orleza's role in the attacks to the cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlez and Orlez alone. After all, I do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together. And how many have you killed to get where you are now? There are no great works that don't cost lives, Captain. Whether it's winning a war, or digging a tram tunnel. So we sacrificed a few dozen in the attacks to possibly protect millions. That seems like a fair exchange to me. I only hope you'll see the same, and leave my name out of the discussions to come. Hunting down criminals, and other threats to the United Colonies. I expect they'll give me a bit more free range once this is all over. You would help me, like you did with Orlez. Track them down, and keep them from doing harm to the United Colonies. Impossible, though, if the cabinet learns I'm the one responsible for the attacks. That is a pity, Captain. But I'm in no position to negotiate. Though we needn't be enemies, you and I. Just think about the opportunity I've provided here. There are more on the horizon, if you do the right thing.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Hello.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the acyles are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terrormorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Any leads on who might have committed the attacks?
That seems unlikely, considering he's been dust for about 20 years.
I'm sure the captain just misspoke. Right? If you said my father was still alive and using Terrormorphs as weapons, I might think it's time for a psych eval. So we just misheard you, right? No, that's impossible. He's gone. My father is dead.
The colony war butcher lives. Unfortunately.
That's about the understatement of the century. A couple of choice four-letter words came to mind for me.
Alive. They Victus is alive? How did you find him? Wait. You knew he was alive and didn't tell us? You were sworn to... You swore. You were just doing your duty, weren't you? Yeah, I guess I, of all people, should know what a burden that can be. Doesn't mean I'm not mad. But I guess you letting us know late is preferable to never. Now at least we can inform the cabinet and let them deal with him. I'm sure he did. But he killed dozens of people. And I'm not about to let him get away with something like that. But now I guess we've got our answer. Nothing left to do but put it all in front of the cabinet. Any last things we needed to discuss? This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the Terrormorphs. It's hard to know. Unlike my father, the cabinet aren't butchers. But killing UC citizens, along with everything else he's done, is unforgivable. But if you're really that concerned, you could request they be lenient. They might be willing to spare him.
Microbe is gonna make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math, and a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Asylees seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch them. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti.
Asylees aren't hostile to humans, but they are megafauna. If someone decides to pick a fight with one, it could get ugly. But they've already been spread far and wide once before when the UC was raising them as livestock, so the risk of introducing them to new worlds is minimal. Using them to clean up the Terrormorphs and leeches, though, it's not going to be nearly as expedient as the microbe would be. Given what we know now about the Lazarus plant, the speed of the job does matter. But going with the Asylees, we're at least dealing with known risks. And here we go.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terrormorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true?
My God.
An attack? Using Terrormorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orlays commit these attacks, Captain?
Orlays? It's true, ma'am. I heard the recording myself. My father figured out how to use Terrormorphs as weapons.
He did what?
That's impossible. He doesn't have the kind of access to...
Clearly, he made his own access, Chief Sarkin. Madam President, I have been saying for years that not dealing with that man was gonna end in tragedy.
Enough! I hope everyone here understands that what has just been shared is a state secret of the highest order. This information does not leave this room. Now, that's quite the accusation you're leveling, considering Francois Sinon has not left containment for the better part of 2 decades. You have evidence to back this up?
It just transformed. A Terrormorph out of thin air. An invisible weapon. No planet would be safe.
Heavens help us. Is that actually him?
I'd know that voice anywhere. That's Francois.
He knew they could do this, and said nothing.
He's a sociopath. Plain and simple, ma'am.
Officer, please collect that recording.
Yes, ma'am. Begging your pardon, Captain?
We'll, of course, be launching a full investigation into how this could have happened. Though I have little doubt the Admiral will be quick to share all he knows on the subject once confronted with that recording. Chief Yassine, can you send one of your interrogators to have a little chat with the Admiral?
I'll issue the order immediately.
Good. Combined with everything else you all have uncovered. Well, I don't think the United Colonies can thank you enough. We failed the people of the colonies by not dealing with Vavictus sooner. I intend to rectify that mistake immediately. That will be up to the cabinet to decide. But I don't appreciate our mercy being taken advantage of. I'm not sure I see why someone with UC blood on their hands would merit leniency. But I will note your request when the decision is made. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches, the 3 of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
Well, luckily the natural hostility of Londinian makes keeping out trespassers relatively easy. But we'll ensure its growth is contained, that access to the plant is only permitted via highly regulated clearances, and that our troop presence on Londinian is increased. We're already discussing the elimination of one species, Captain. Explain to me why you wish to eliminate another.
They are ultimately threatened as much as the United Colonies. To share what you know and what can be done to make us all safer can only foster good relations.
That is an idea with some merit to it. Decrease the likelihood of anything like this occurring again, and further relations between our two factions.
Two birds with a single stone. Very well. We'll include the collective in the removal process. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terrormorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps? The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terrormorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the Cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the Captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter. Please, ask.
I can feel this one. While intimidating creatures, certainly, Aseles are docile unless provoked. They're honestly closer to oversized mobile scanners than deadly predators. The concern is that, while all proposed methods will be long-term efforts, the Aseles are the slowest. Slow to breed, slow to deploy. We do everything we could to accelerate that process, including mustering some of our mothballed cloning technologies. But if we do elect to use this method, we'll be doing things at the pace of a megafauna, which is not an expedient one. Infinitesimally low.
But not zero.
The chance of a starship landing on you as you sit here isn't zero, yet you still attended. Personally, my fear isn't mutation, but Terrormorphs developing a resistance. But that's something our group can continue to address if we decide to take this approach, as I believe we should.
This won't work without them.
Exactly right, ma'am. The Interstellar Affairs Office has already begun reaching out to worlds throughout the settled systems, informing them of the risks we're all facing, and that the UC has a plan to prevent what happened on New Atlantis from happening elsewhere. Thus far, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. The spirit of mutual cooperation displayed between the UC and the Freestar Collective in managing the Terrormorph data set a good tone for the work we're doing, Captain. We expect we'll hit some resistance, but our office has plenty of carrots and sticks to ensure the program's widespread success.
The responsibilities will be spread across multiple branches of the UC. Research and day-to-day administration will be handled by a new group under the Science Division. All diplomatic concerns and coordination will fall to Chief Yassine in Interstellar Affairs. But most of the actual on-the-ground work, that'll be handled by the Vanguard. Very well. Then did you have a preference on the method we should deploy?
Glad to see someone's not afraid of a little applied genetics. The science division is in full agreement.
Let us hope this science division truly knows what they are doing.
Grand threats merit grand actions, and grand actions are precisely what our group does.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colony's Terrormorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive. You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
And as a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you, Captain, will have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.